Hey guys, Redneck Mini 14 here, and I'm going to talk today about some aftermarket magazines for the Ruger Mini 30. These magazines here are made by KCI, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is because anybody who owns a Mini 30 knows that there just aren't a whole lot of magazine options available, like the AR-15, of course, but even the Mini 14, the Mini 30's older brother. And so, really the only good options that everybody talks about are the factory magazines. This is a 20 rounder that I bought with these two because there was a deal on free shipping if you went over a certain dollar amount. So I went and got myself a factory 20 rounder, which I suspect will be really good, and I got these two KCI 30 rounders. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about KCI and the reason I wanted to try them out is because you really don't hear a whole lot about KCI. You hear a lot about Pro Mag, and I actually have a Pro Mag here. This is the one that came with the gun. Now, I haven't shot this gun yet, but Pro Mags are notorious for being poor quality in Ruger Mini 30s. And lots of other guns too, but we're talking about the Mini 30 right here. And so when I saw that the Mini 30 came with a Pro Mag, I was very disappointed, and I suspect this is probably not going to be very good, but you never know. Sometimes, occasionally, you'll get somebody who says that Pro Mags work flawlessly in their guns, so I might get lucky, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. The only other magazine I have for this gun is a 5 rounder that I had to buy separately. It was the only factory magazine that the gun store had that I bought the gun at, so and this was $20 too. So I spent $20 on a factory 5 rounder, and again, like the 20 rounder, I suspect it'll be just fine. But the topic of the video is the KCIs, and the KCIs, you really don't hear a whole lot about them. You hear a lot about the Pro Mags, and I think there's another company called like National Magazine or American or something like that. They're very similar to Pro Mags, and most people will tell you that just stay away from those and stick with the factories. But not a whole lot of people talk about the KCIs. In fact, if you look them up, you can't really find very much information at all. There's no YouTube videos until now on KCI Mini 30 magazines. There's only one forum that I've ever come across from like 2012 that even talks about these, and that's kind of the reason why I wanted to give these a shot, was because that forum, again, it was back in 2012, most of the people talking about them actually had good things to say about them. Now, this was back during one of those runs on ammo, so everybody on there wasn't actually firing the gun with the magazines in them, but they were working the action and seeing if it how well it would feed just by cycling the action by hand. And what they had to say was that they had to tweak the magazines a little bit to get them to work, or to get them to work well. I don't think they ever said that they didn't work, but I think in order to get them cycling better, they had to actually either push in the feed lips or push them out. Now, comparing them, I do think, this might be hard to do on camera, but I think the KCIs are, the feed lips on the KCI is slightly wider in the front, and I think that's what they had to do, was they had to push the feed lips together a little bit in the front to get them to cycle better. But as far as I can tell now, it's pretty decent quality. Now, these were $15 a piece at I don't even know how to pronounce the website that I got them from, but I'll annotate it. And these were $15 a piece, so $30 for the two. And I got free shipping if I spent over $50. So I threw in the factory 20 rounder, and that was 20. This was on sale for $26. I think it was normally $28 or $29. So basically, two of these is just slightly more expensive than one of those. So again, if these don't work, or if I can't get them to work, it's not a huge loss because they're not that expensive. But what I've noticed is that they do fit in the gun really good. Now, I think it's this one. One of them does not have the magazine spring is not strong enough to actually activate the last shot hold open. And yeah, it is this one. So that's not really a huge deal because AKs don't even have last shot hold opens. But this one, I was able to put it in, and the last shot hold open works. And I do feel, just by pressing down on the follower, that the spring in this magazine is slightly stiffer than the other magazine spring. So I don't know if there are any magazine springs out there that you can just buy and put in the magazine. Either way, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But you know, as long as it functions well. Now, I do plan on taking these out and putting I'll put like 120 rounds through the magazines, two full magazines through each, and see how they work, if they function flawlessly, if they jam every round. I do plan on getting it on camera and showing you guys and documenting this, because this is kind of a problem with having a Mini 30, because nobody makes videos on aftermarket magazines, and I figured, well, if nobody else is making a video, I might as well make a video. And you know, again, like I said, I'd probably stay away from Pro Mags. Definitely go with some factory magazines, but if these magazines turn out to be good, or you know, maybe even if you have to tweak them just a little bit to get them to work, I think that's worth a lot in just information, knowing whether or not they will work. And just one thing to note about that is, this is a 186 series Mini 30. Some people will claim that different magazines will work differently in different variations of the Mini 30 and even the Mini 14. There are different generations of the guns. This is the very first Mini 30s that were ever produced, so if they work well in this one, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll work well in a newer Mini 30, and vice versa. If they don't work well in this Mini 30, doesn't necessarily mean that it won't work well in your gun. Just a little food for thought there. But anyway, these are two KCI 30 round magazines. I got them for $15 a piece. Different retailers sell these online for different prices, but $15 a piece sounded good enough to me just to try them out. And like I said, if they don't work, I didn't really spend all that much money on them. So anyway, that's all for that video. Subscribe to my channel, like me on Facebook. I'm Redneck Mini 14, and until next time, be safe.